Growing up, I had always wanted to know how my circumstances of the area where I came from could be changed, and I found that with this program.
The land-grant system started in 1862. That was when the Morrill Act was passed. West Virginia University was founded in 1867. Land-grant institutions, I think, are more apt to engage in action research and service learning projects. The local governance and community development courses do a great job of exemplifying what the land-grant mission is all about.
And actually elevating that to where, because it's submerged quite a bit.
The West Virginia University Master of Public Administration program is now offering an area of emphasis in local governance and community development. There's a series of 4 courses that all work in a building block fashion, where in the classroom we're learning about theory and best practices, but then in the field we're going out and working with a host community, one community for 2 years, that helps us to actually apply all of those ideas.
We actually go out into the community and meet with community members and community leaders and actually make deliverables that they can use.
Faculty involved have consistently made us aware that they are a part of each individual team and the whole team.
So the 4 semesters are actually designed along a developmental path in community development. This process definitely goes through a series of phases. It starts with doing baseline research, so we have to learn about the community and learn with the community. And then we move into engaging, mobilizing, organizing, getting folks involved with their sort of civic life. And from there, we can actually get people at the table to do some visioning and planning together. And then finally, we can move from planning into action.
We produced deliverables like comprehensive plans for the community we did in one course, and then also actual projects that identify funding sources, technical sources.
The first phase that we call the learning phase is the local governance class. So we're looking at this entire picture of how governance works in the 21st century. We're building a community profile about all of these socioeconomic aspects of whatever community we're working with. We use a civic index survey that was developed by the National Civic League, and that helps kind of get the pulse of what's happening politically in the community. In terms of the community side of the learning, what we're helping them to do is build capacity and understanding how these things can function most effectively.
You get to bridge the gap between theory and practice. We do a lot of research on the front end, and so we sort of understand the approach and the methodology, but then we go and we put that into practice, and we see how that doesn't always play out as perfectly as it does on paper, but it's what happens, and those are things that you have to work through.
In the second course, which is public engagement, we move into this engaging the public. We move into mobilizing and organizing the community so that they are coming to the table to work with their leadership team.
We did a community capitals mapping where everybody told us what members, significant members of the community they were linked to and who they needed to link up with. So it was really us gathering information about who needed to be involved.
We're working with the community to develop a public engagement plan for forthcoming activities. And at the very end of the semester, taking all of those facilitation skills that you've learned during the class, we go out into the community and the students facilitate community conversations.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about quality of life. And I want you all to write on 3 different sticky notes what your ideal Ravenswood would be 10 years from now.
The results are analyzed and presented to the community in a report.
I think that it's important to engage community members and stakeholders, and that's actually something that I really learned from the class.
The third phase of the process is the public planning course, and here students are learning all about the theories and techniques of public planning. It's really a sort of standardized strategic planning process, but evolves as it's applied in different contexts. And so the plans that we're developing start with the results that we got from the community conversations and then are built upon. So we're doing a lot of field inventory work and again holding participatory planning sessions with the community.
We put on a charrette where we were looking to gather information from the community, find out what kind of things they were really interested in, areas that they thought were in need of help, and assets in the community, and how we could kind of use those to decide moving forward what the city should focus on.
So the difference between where you are now and your ideal?
One.
A one?
Yeah.
So in this way, the students are experts on tap. Again, taking that public service perspective forward of participatory democracy, we're there to facilitate the community creating its own plan.
Going good. What characteristics would you identify as the housing market in Ravenswood?
So the very last course, we help the community move into action. It's called Sustainable Community Development, and so in this course we're learning all about the theories and practices of doing that. So how do we develop communities in a sustainable fashion, where we're looking at this big landscape of what does sustainability mean and what is community development. At the practical level, the hands-on research that we're doing is very, very project or program specific.
My background is in forestry, but having that background, I got to participate in the conservation of open space planning elements, where I could draw from my previous experience of conservation easements and right-of-ways and property rights. And it was a nice opportunity to sort of bridge some previous learning experiences right into some new material and look at it from a new way.
Generally, what we try to do is we pick one short-range project that's, kind of the low-hanging fruit. Then we get a sort of a mid-range, 1 to 3 year type project, as well as a really long-range project, something that might even take 5 to 10 years.
So we're going to give a chance for any of the students from the Western University who've been working with Ravenswood to talk about some of the projects.
I would say if you're considering this, really think about it because you're going to be challenged.
You're learning how to take theoretical ideas and really condense them down into the applied work that's happening in the communities that we're working in.
Well, if you're passionate about local governance or making a difference around you, this is certainly where you want to be, because you're going to be at a scale, if you will, of policy making and local governance that you can really see the difference that you're making.
The vision is just awesome. You guys have done just a tremendous job. Awesome. Yeah.